What's up, everybody? Welcome to day 7. Here we got our rating to 1307. And we're solving the puzzle rushes at 30 now, which has been pretty good so far. Let's go ahead and get the ball rolling. Alright. Let the party begin. Alright, we're going to use our checklist that we made 2 videos ago. So, and in case you forgot, this is that checklist right here. But we're going to try to go off memory now, so we should just have that checklist in our minds. So, step 1, are we in check? What the heck? I just want to do puzzle rush. Okay, so what do we got going on here? Are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? The bishop's pinned to our rook right now. That's the only pin I see here. You could even maybe say this pawn's pinned to this pawn. I guess. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? We have this check, but the bishop by itself will definitely not lead to checkmate. So from there, what's the point balance? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like we're down a pawn. Everything else looks equal. We're down a pawn right now. We're down minus 1 point. Do they have any threats? Well, this is kind of annoying. If they go bishop here and attack the bishop again, we're going to end up losing more points in that scenario. So that's pretty bad. If you don't remember, I made another little checklist here of categories. Category 1 is not really important up to level 4, which is immediate game losing. So here, the losing that will probably will end up being minus 4 points, which is pretty significant. So that might be like a 3 or a 2. 2 or 3, because if we're careless, that can happen. And if it does happen, it's going to be pretty bad. So, do we have any captures or threats? Well, we saw this capture with check. Now, it didn't checkmate them, but what it does do, it now uncovers the fact that our rook would be attacking theirs. And since they have to deal with the check first, we're going to end up winning that rook. And now we're up. Let's see. We were down a point, and now we're gonna be we just won a point back, so now it's even. And now we're gonna be up 5 points. Okay, looks like a back rank, but are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? No. I see this check will lead to mate, so we're gonna play it. Okay, are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? No. I see this check. The king's blocking off these 3 squares, so this check is actually going to be checkmate. Are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? Not really. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? Well, if we go rook here, the pawn supports it, so you can't get rid of it, and the king has no escape square, so that's going to be checkmate. Okay. Are we in check? No. Do we have any checks that... sorry. Are any of our pieces pinned? No. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? So the only check I see is we promote here to either a queen or a rook. Seems like the queen is probably the better play. Now I notice when we do promote, the king has no escape squares because of our king blocking these off, and their rook is currently in the way. So when I promote to a rook, if he blocked, I'd probably just go back. Now, if we take a minute to look at the point value, we have one pawn. They have three, a knight, and a rook. So they're currently up 2 pawns, 3 points, 5 points. So that's a total. They're up a total of 10 points right now. So if we got that rook back, they block, and we end up, let's say, going this way. They're still going to be up 5 points in that line. And we lost probably our only chance of recovering with that pawn. But luckily we can also turn it into a queen. So instead of being down 10 points, we'll be only down 1. Also, what I notice is in that since the only option is to block with the rook, we can actually swing our queen over to f3. And because the rook is now here, the only move he has is to go here. And then we can play queen here, and that's going to be the mate. Are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? No. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? I feel like if we take there, he's just going to take with bishop. Alright, I'm really leaning towards rook check. Supported by the rook. Now, if I do that, they don't have any escape squares because our bishop is controlling these squares, and the rook would be controlling these squares. And they can't get rid of the rook or block, so that's going to be checkmate. Okay, are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? No. Checks that lead to mate. I see queen check, kick the king to the left, and then we would give him the back rank mate. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Yeah, we've seen that theme so much that I don't feel like I need to really go more in depth there. If you're watching this as like the first episode on my channel, you should probably go back to the beginning because I've been going through the days. And in the earlier days, I went more in depth in explaining the first 15 tactics. And once I got to 1200, then I decided to up the puzzle rush solving to 30. And then I stopped really explaining the simpler puzzles to get more time for the more complicated ones. So definitely check out all the videos if you want to see the full journey here. Now, back to the game puzzle. So, are we in check? No. Do we have any checks in the position? That lead to mate. Well, sorry. Let me back up. I always jump ahead. I don't know why. I am a bit impatient, so that's my little downfall sometimes. So, probably because I didn't finish my coffee yet. I'm not a human yet. I think I just got some on my glass. Okay. Hold on one sec. Can't see anymore. Okay. Now, what are we doing? We got queen takes, well, no. Are we in check? No. Any pins in the position? No. Looks like queen here is checkmate because the king has no escape squares. And the queen and bishop work together to deliver that checkmate. Are we in check? No. Any checks that lead to mate? Sorry. I keep doing that, man. I don't know. Alright. Are we in pin? Do we have any pins? No. Alright. Now are there any checks that lead to mate? So let's see. Queen here, we get taken, and that's bad. I see knight here, but I don't think that would lead to mate. But now I notice that it would end up winning a queen. So let's go through so since I'm not seeing mate, let's go through the rest of the checklist. What's the point balance? We have two minor pieces. They have three. And we have all our pawns. They lost one of them. Two rooks and one queen on both sides. So that means right now we traded a pawn for a minor piece. That's a 1-pointer for a 3-pointer. So now we're down 2 points. Our 3-pointer for their 1-pointer. Now, if we do take do they have any threats? Not really, besides being up 2 points. Do we have any captures or threats that win anything? Well, we already saw that this one brings us to be only down 1 point. And then we can capture this 9-pointer here, which would bring us up to 8. And even if they capture the knight in that line, we'll be up 5 points in the end of that exchange. So that would be really good for us. All right, are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? No. Any checks that lead to mate? Let's see. Here, he gets taken. All these checks get taken. So bishop here seems like the one that we should consider the most. He has two options. He can move to the left, or he can block. If he blocks, we can go queen or bishop takes. Queen takes, he has to go to the left again. So already we're gonna be, so before, and then if he just goes to the left right away, we can take the rook with check. And then when he goes down, we'll have to go from there. I'm not seeing a clear mating idea there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the rest of the checklist to understand the full position before we do anything else. So now we look at the pawns. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pawns are equal. Looks like we have a minor piece on the board with one rook. They have two rooks, but no minor piece. So, and the queens. So we traded our 5-pointer for their 3-pointer. So we're currently down 2 points right now. So if we do now, do they have any threats? So they're threatening to win our bishop, which would end up bringing us down 5 points, which would be bad. And they're already up points, so that's kind of an important threat. So almost at category 3 here. So we definitely gotta save our bishop, or else we're gonna be down too many points, I think. So this bishop check. Now we can start looking at our captures and threats. So we're probably winning this rook, which would bring us up 3 points at least. So either way, I feel like that's going to be our best move. I don't see anything else that comes close. So I'm just going to play it anyways. Now we can win the rook. I'm going to take a moment just to make sure I consider all my options, but I don't see any, so we're just going to take that rook with check. And that's how you make your calculations a little easier sometimes. So if you can't, I mean, you should try to calculate it out to get the practice and get better at calculating, but sometimes you can use the additional information in the position to make better decisions. In fact, that's probably how you should always make your decisions, is if you don't see an immediate checkmate, then you use the rest of your information to make a better choice. I like that. Are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? No. Checks that lead to mate. Yeah, I see this one. King can't escape because the rook's blocking their path. So yeah, that's just going to be checkmate. Okay, are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? The pawn is. This pawn's being pinned by the queen right now. That's the only pin I see. Looks like it's one of those kick the king to the left back rank mates. So you just go check, kick him to the back, and then you sack your queen and win. So we're going to do that. All right, are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? Yes, this rook is pinned to our king right now by their rook. I think that's the only pin I see. Any checks that lead to mate? Yes. So it looks like we're cutting off this right here. So we're actually close to completing the ladder checkmate. If we bring this rook here, the ladder is going to be complete. Now, if we do that, they have one resource left, which is to block with the queen. And after we take that, that's going to be the mate. It's important to recognize all the resources. You don't want to miss a single one, because later on that could bite you in the butt. All right. Are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? This pawn is pinned to our king by the bishop. Checks that lead to mate. Well, we're kind of familiar with the whole kick the king to the left check right now. So that should have been on your radar. And this time, if you notice, because our rook is here, we can swing our queen over and deliver checkmate right there. Okay, are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? No. Checks that lead to mate. Well, if we go here, queen check, their only option is to block with their queen. Then we have bishop to c5 check. And now the queen, their queen is currently pinned to their king, because our queen is sitting here. So they can't move out of the way this way or block. Their only option is to move to h1. And then we would take the queen, and that would be checkmate. Okay? Notice, once we go here, king has only one escape square, which is right here. We're kicking that king to the left behind his pawn, behind his castle. Not even his castle, just his pawns, and we get the mate. Are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? No. Checks that lead to mate. Let's see. We got this one. He takes. I don't see anything there. No, I don't think I see any checks that lead to mate here. What's the point balance? 5 pawns. We currently have 5 pawns. They currently have 6. 2 minors, 2 rooks. Okay, so we're currently down a pawn right now. Are they threatening anything? Not really. At the moment, I don't see any. Maybe this could be a threat, and maybe they just keep pushing that. But, so that's kind of important threat to at least acknowledge. Alright, so do we have any captures or threats that can do anything? So, queen takes. Seems like the queen would escape there. Now I'm noticing the queen doesn't have a lot of escape squares here. If you can't go for the king, look to see if you can get the queen next. So, if I go here, what does he do? Notice our bishop is currently raining down these squares as well. It's not always your opponent's squares you should be looking at, it's your own squares as well. Bishops go backwards. It's a very important thing to remember. Pieces go backwards, and it's okay. You need to be able to go backwards. Like you can't shut out the idea of going backwards. There's a lot of moments where going backwards will be really beneficial to you. So here, acknowledging that the bishop can go this way, means if I attack this queen, right? You can't go to these two squares. And the queen can't go here either, because our queen would take it. So really, the only escape square this queen has is to go right here. Now, if we continue trying to attack that queen with the other rook, this pawn becomes undefended, and he could take that. And then if we keep trying to get the attack, the queen seems like he's wiggling out of that. Now, what I also notice, since this is the only escape square, this rook is actually hanging. So we could actually win this rook. So we're down 1 point right now. So if we win that rook, we would be up 4 points. So worst case scenario, we're going to be up 4 points. That seems pretty good. So I'm going to go for this move and see what happens. If we tried bishop here, he could probably take with the rook, and that would be bad. So I think we're just going to take this rook right here and be good. All right. Are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? No. Our queen is technically maybe pinned to our rook, if you want to consider that the pin. Checks that lead to mate. Yeah, I see we have the ladder checkmate again, because our rook would be controlling this square, these squares. And if we slide our queen over to h3, that would complete our ladder checkmate. Okay. All right, are we in check? No. Are any of our pieces pinned? No. Any checks that lead to mate? Well, we have queen here. If they go here, we can't take this because of the rook. Check here. So I guess the question is, what's the difference between taking right? So let's just look at this. Check here. And if we take the rook, they take theirs. We take this bishop, and we end up checkmating them. So bishop, so queen here, here. If they try to just go back, okay, I see. So like if I go, well, so here, here, here. If they went back, then we can just bring our queen back with check and then take the rook on the next turn. So takes check here, then we take. Oh, there's a weird move there. So if we took right away, the move that I think kind of gives us a problem is going to be like knight here, which kind of stops us from giving the check again, and then he's going to be able to promote and win. Or even knight here probably does the same thing without bringing his knight all the way back. So as long as he covers this square, he can promote on the next turn and win. So that's why it's important to give the check first, because now when we take, if he, number one, that square is no longer available for the knight, but also, even if he goes here, we can take the bishop and win. So we need to undefend the bishop to give our queen the chance to escape before he can promote. Okay, so now so if we go queen check, he's got to go here. Now, if we don't do checks, he's going to take our rook, and that could be bad for us. So let's just do it. Okay, they stopped the puzzle there, which was kind of weird. Okay. Checklist. Are we in check? No. Any pins in the position? Not really. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? I see queen check. If knight, the king here is the only move available. Then we have knight to e3 check. The king would have to move over again. And then queen to c2 is going to be the checkmate, supported by the knight. Queen, knight, checkmate. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? Sorry. Are we in check? No. Any pins in the position? Not really. Any checks that lead to mate? Yes, I see it. Do you see it? This is kind of a neat one. All right, so this king's completely trapped. So if we can check him, that would actually be mate. And this knight can go here, which would check the king, and they can't get rid of our knight, and it has no escape, so that's going to be the checkmate. All right, so are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? Maybe you can consider the bishop is pinned to our pawn, but not really. Do we have any checks that win? So what do we got? So first I look at the promotion. He can take with rook. I don't really know. Maybe I go here, but then he can just duck out, and I think he's getting away. If I go queen here, notice the bishop is defending the pawn. So in that line, he either has to go here or here. If he goes here, we promote, and that's going to be game over. We also have just queen here, and that mates him as well. Now here, if he goes here, I see we have queen to f3 check. The king, and because our pawn's here, it's actually controlling this square. So in that moment, the king would have no escape squares. They can't get rid of our queen or block, so that's going to be the checkmate. Okay. Are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? No. Checks that lead to mate. Yeah, so what we need to... So this is like an advanced version of the back rank type of deal. So we want to force him in the back rank, so then we can get our rook in to checkmate him. So with that little hint, you should have been able to find this move. The check, and to be honest, there's only two checks in the position. So if you look at all the checks, you should be able to find it. So pawn check is the move. Now, because it's defended by the rook, the king's only choice is to go up. Then when we bring the rook up like this, their last option is to block with their bishop. And when we take that, that's going to be the checkmate. Okay, are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? No. Checks that lead to mate. Well, we only have two checks in the position. If we go bishop here, he can block. If we play bishop takes, he can still block. So I don't see that working out. Now we can play bishop takes here. He actually can't take that bishop. And no escape squares? That's actually going to be the checkmate right there. Okay, are we in check? No. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? Sorry, are we pinned? Let's see. No. Actually, this pawn's kind of pinned. If this pawn moved, they could have queen check, and that would win the game for them. Now, do we have any checks that lead to mate? So, there's only really one check that doesn't get captured, and that's going to be queen here. And even if he blocks with all three pieces, it's still going to lead to checkmate. Because his king's stuck in the back corner behind his pawns. Okay. Are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? Yes, this knight's pinned to our king right now. And that's the only pin I currently see. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? Yes. So, if we move this knight, they're gonna be in check. So we have a lot of knight moves that we can look at that will be in check. Now we want to actually focus on the most forcing one first. So if you looked at all the knight moves, you notice that one of them is also a check as well. And that's actually going to be what's called a double check. That's a way more forcing check than just a check on its own. Because now, when the knight goes here, the king can't, your opponent can't deal with just one piece. They have to deal with both checks at the same time. So they can't capture the knight or the queen because if they did, the other piece would end up checkmating him. So if we go here and give him the double check, white's only option at that point is going to be to move out of the way. If they block here, the knight will still capture the king. So here, because there's two checks happening at the same time, the king has to get out of them. Now, this is going to be a new tactical theme that we're going to learn here. And once you see the pattern and you start practicing it, you'll start to see it in your games as well. So, after we push the king over this way, what we're going to do is we're going to play queen g1 check. We're going to use the fact that the knight's here to bring our queen over to check the king. And in that moment, white has only one option. They have to capture the queen with the rook. So now the king and rook and two pawns are like this. We actually made him trap his own king within his pieces. And now this knight can swing back and deliver a checkmate because of that fact. This is called a smothered checkmate. We made him smother himself with his own pieces, and then we delivered a checkmate. So we go here, here, and you see once the knight gets here, you can't capture the knight, so that's going to be the checkmate. Are we in check? Yes. Our king is in check right now. Are there any pins in the position? I don't see any. So, we need to deal with the fact that we're being pinned before anything else. So, what are our options? Okay, we can... Sorry, let me fix that. We could either move our king or we can take it. The bishop that's checking us right now. So let's see. All right. So if we move our king over to the right like this. Sorry. I had like a coughing fit out of nowhere. And I paused the recording so you didn't have to hear all that. So let's take a look. So if I go here, he can move the bishop and give me another check. And at worst case scenario, that would probably be a draw. Because either I go back or lose my rook. Now, if I just take with the rook right away, he can take back with his rook. Okay. Now, Right now, we don't have any checks that lead to mate. Even if it was our turn, we still don't have any checks that lead to mate. So, let's look at the point balance real quick. Right now, we have 5 pawns. They have 5 pawns. They have 2 minor pieces. We have 1. We have 2 rooks, and they have 1. So we traded our 3-pointer for their 5-pointer, so we're actually up 2 points right now. So, if we did this trade, we would gain 3 points, and if they take, we would lose 5. So that would make us equal right now. Now let's take a moment to see if they have any threats. Well, it seems like they're on the verge of checkmating me or at least forcing a draw. So that seems pretty dire for us. Category 4, maybe, yeah, at least a 4 or 3. So we got to do something pretty quickly here. Captures and threats. Well, we need to deal with the check first. So this is probably the move we're playing because we don't want to lead it to a draw. So here and here. Now, after that fact, this knight, we're pinning their knight to their king. Now, if we take this, if they take back, we can take with our queen with check. We would win a pawn there. We'd be up a point with check. Now, an important detail here is the fact that if they went to the left, they would actually checkmate themselves. So here, here, here. They would probably either have to go here. They can't block because their queen is defending their rook right now. And that might actually end up being the saving detail for us. Knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, check. He has to go here. And then we could probably keep checking him from there. All right, well, we already know we have to play this, so let's just play it anyways. All right, so now here we are. So we can go knight takes, pawn. Now notice if they don't take back, we're up a piece. We're up at least 3 points there. And we're threatening knight here on the next turn, and so he probably needs to take back. We're gonna be up a pawn here. Now, when he goes here, check, queen takes, pawn takes, probably rook here to try to stop us from promoting our pawn, and I think they're gonna get the pawn back, and that's probably not good enough. Takes, takes, takes. Here. So maybe we go queen here instead. And in that moment, he has to go here. Maybe we then bring our other rook into the game and go like this. Okay, well, let's see if there's any other moves in knight takes. If I go queen here, we can maybe try to win the rook. But then, so this is pinned, so this is actually not a threat right now. I go queen here. Oh, but then it would be if I move the queen. So I don't think we want to move the queen. All right, so I'm really leaning towards knight takes. We could maybe try knight here, and then notice if we take the rook, knight here would actually fork our queen and our king, so that would be bad for us. So we don't want to let this knight in the game. So we can be up a pawn with checks. So I feel like that's our best option here. So let's go for it. Ooh, we didn't even recognize that as an option. Yeah. They had, I mean, okay, so that was pretty, that, this is a good learning lesson. Like, we didn't consider all the options there. Because, I didn't actually take a moment to consider, like, one of these checks that they have. Now, and even though they didn't, that was a blind spot. And that could easily backfire for us in some games. So we gotta, so now now what? Well, the rook's undefended. So what happens if we just take it? Well, honestly, we don't have any other choice. The queen's controlling these squares. So, and the only option we have is to take this. Okay. So, I think that puzzle, they didn't really go for the best option, but it also kind of highlighted the fact that we kind of automatically dismissed something that was important. Even if it seems trivial, you should acknowledge all your opponent's resources so that way you're not getting caught by surprise. So, oh, I forgot to do the tracker. I'm sorry, guys. We're at number 26 right now. I forgot to put it in my little window here. We're about 4 away from being done. Are we in check? No. Any of our pieces pinned? No. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? Well, bishop check, queen would capture, and then I don't see anything there. This check, so notice we can't castle because this bishop is controlling one of the squares that our king would have to go to. So we can, however, play rook f1. Now, if they do that, they can block with the queen, but we would just take it. And then we'd probably be up a lot more points. Even without really considering the point count, being up a queen is pretty good. But we won't actually officially make that decision until we do get the point count. But just acknowledging that that possibility is there. So rook here, he could block. If he doesn't block, he has like 3 escape squares. So the queen's controlling these squares. So the escape squares are here, here, and here. So after here, if they go here, here, or here, I think bringing our queen in next would just be checkmate. This square is actually being controlled by our bishop because we saw that earlier with that check. So no matter where he goes, queen here is going to be checkmate. So rook here, and yep. Yeah, I kind of really wish they would actually make you solve some of these out versus just kind of stopping you short, because it doesn't actually prove you actually saw the whole continuation there or not. Anyways, that's enough of my rant. Let's go. Are we in check? Are we in check? No. Any pins in the position? No. Not really. I mean, it's kind of like could be considered a pin but if our bishop moved, they might be able to take the rook if it wasn't defended. So, do we have any checks that lead to mate? Well, we have queen takes rook. And he could block with the bishop, but our queen can take. So the other option is probably to go this way. And I don't see another check that will checkmate him. I do see this check, which would uncover our rook, which would allow us to attack the queen. So that might be a really good resource for us. Let's do the rest of the checklist to see if that's what we want to do. So what's our point count now? We got 3, 4, 5 pawns. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns. They got 2 minor pieces. We got 1. And everything else is equal. So right now we're down a minor piece and a pawn. We're down 4 points. If we capture this rook, now we're going to be up 1 point. Now, do they have any threats? I mean, besides being up 4 points, they don't really have any threats at the moment. Maybe to win this pawn could be a threat, I guess. That's the only one. Maybe bishop here could be a threat because it would go ahead and bring another attacker in to maybe checkmate us. All right, now let's look at our resources. So we saw a pretty good resource already. Queen takes, king here. So we're up a point now. We were down a minor piece and a pawn, which was 4 points, but now we just gained 5 points. So we're up a point. And if the king goes here, we're going to sacrifice our 3-pointer. So now if they take, we'll be down 2 points. And when we take this queen, we'll be up 7. But then they would probably take our rook. So we would end up being up 2 points there. From there, the most important detail is making sure that actually that was something in the threat category we should have acknowledged. This pawn is really close to becoming a queen. So we need to make sure whatever we do, we're not letting that happen. So here, 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 he would take, rook takes, bishop takes. Now our queen's here. Oh, okay, we have a nice resource. Queen here. So we would check the king, and we would end up winning that bishop as well. So when we win this rook, we're up a point. When we sack the bishop, we're going to be down 2 points. We win the queen, now we're up 7 points. We lose the rook. Now we're up 4 points. No, sorry. Rook 7 minus 5 is 2. So we're up 2 points there. We bring the queen over to f5 with check. And we would end up winning this bishop, which is worth 3 points. So we end up being up 5 points there. And we also stop this pawn from promoting. So that seems like a good deal. I'm going to go ahead and go for that. Okay. Are we in check? No. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? We go here. He has an escape square. So we don't have that yet. Maybe if we plug up that escape squares, then we can do that. But let's go ahead and look at the point balance and everything at first. 2 pawns versus 2 pawns. Rook, rook. Everything's equal. Do they have any threats? They want to make a queen. Other than that, they don't really have any threats. So, and I would say it's going to take them a while to make this queen, because not only do they need to get it there, but they have to move the rook out of the way. And also, our rook is also attacking that pawn. So, the moment the rook ever leaves, our rook could just take it. So, that's another good important detail. But I'm thinking for our captures, and mostly a threat, is if we just move the king up 1 square, notice it can't be checked by his rook. And that would cut off the king completely to where we can checkmate him on the next turn. And I don't see a way for him to stop that. Okay, he's going to try to block with the rook, but that's just going to be checkmate. So, this is the last puzzle. Are we in check? No. Do we have any checks that lead to mate? Sorry, are we pinned? And this is a very important one to consider that. Yes, we are pinned in the position. This is a very important. This puzzle completely highlights why we look for pins at number 2. Because this pawn is currently pinned to this bishop. If this pawn, if we capture this rook, we get checkmated. So, let's go through our checklist. Do we have, now we're not in check yet. So, do we have any checks that will checkmate him? If I go here, queen can take. I do have queen here. So he could block with the rook, or sorry, with the bishop. But now that gives us a moment where we could then consider taking. But let's look for the mates. So that's something to keep in mind for later in the checklist. Queen here. And if they block, we could consider taking that rook. We could also consider going like bishop here to put more pressure on that bishop, and it might actually just win that bishop altogether. Okay, but let's see if there's anything more forcing. Now, if they did go here, we also have rook check. And they can't bring their bishop back because now our queen is pinning that bishop. So, queen here, bishop here, rook check. They could try to block with queen or rook, but that would just get taken. Same thing here. They could consider blocking with the queen, but that wouldn't do anything. Our queen would capture that. So queen here, bishop here, rook here. He would have to go up. Now if he goes here, our queen would take that with check. So I think their best option would be to go here. So queen check, bishop here, rook check, they go here. Now the rook's here. I do have queen check, but he can go ahead and bring the bishop back to defend. Maybe I do rook check instead. So queen here, bishop here, rook check. He goes there. And then I go with rook check again. And if he blocks with the bishop now, our queen would... But the rook's controlling the key squares for us to get that check in. Check here. Check here. Okay, so I'm not seeing a clear thing yet. And that's just with that one. If he goes here right away, that's a whole nother option we haven't considered yet. So let's look at that briefly. So if we go there, we would probably consider rook check. He has to go here. If we bring our queen in next here, I think that's actually checkmate. So queen check here, rook check here. Then we bring our queen all the way up here, and he would have to block with his rook, but when we take it with our queen, that's going to be the checkmate, I think. Wait, no. Hold on. Sorry. Queen check here, rook check here. If we go queen check, he will have this square. We can swing our rook this way, and he would have to go here. Now, okay, so let's go ahead and just look at the rest of the checklist to see if we can get any more insight on the position. Point balance, 3, 3. Everything's equal right now, point-wise. Do they have any threats? Yes, if we move the pawn, they're threatening to checkmate us. Rook here could also be pretty devastating. I think that's pretty much it for threats, and I think they're all pretty significant, so we don't want to give him any time. Let me go ahead and let's see. So, do we have any captures or threats? Well, when we looked at our checks, we saw in these lines we could probably at least win the bishop or rook. That seemed kind of good. Do we have anything else? Besides queen check, do we have anything else we haven't even considered yet? So maybe like queen back. Because it attacks the queen and it tries to prevent the whole checkmate. Now if I go here, he has a lot of checks that we would have to think about. So, but I think we just go here and we would still end up being okay, I think. So this could be an option. That would be my only other option is rook here, I think. Because we can't move the pawn. I don't think we want to take a piece here. I think that's way too greedy. We need to kind of solve some problems here. So I'm either going to go here or here. Check. Here. Check. Here. What if we did what if we did the rook check again? I mean, I guess you could just go this way. So here's a weird idea. Check there, check there. We hit him with this. And they have to respond to the check either with rook takes or king takes, but either way, all right, this is a judgment call, I think. So we know if they block with the bishop, we're winning material. I think this way is like definitely the most important way to think about. And then when we give him the check, he goes here. We go check, he goes here. So let's see. Queen check here. Rook check here. Queen check here. Rook check. It's got to go here. Then maybe we can go queen check again. force him here or here. And maybe in that moment we can actually go like bishop check. I feel like that's gonna lead somewhere. I am gonna. What I think is we can always play this move, right? So I think, even if we go through the checks, I think we could still end up going for this if that doesn't work out. And it looks like the king is gonna be mateable there. Because I really like when we get the bishop. So I'm able to get the queen down here where we can deliver another check. And that feels like it's going to be really good for us. Because I think bishop there is actually going to be the checkmate, I think. But let me play the check. And oh, they didn't even. Oh, no. Well, we won, but that's not. I don't like to win that way. All right, we got to 30. All right, now we're going to play a couple games. We're at 1307. Let's see what we can do here today. There we go. Okay, e3, d4 versus d5. What are we going to see? Knight c6, knight f3. Knight f3 is more solid. I like that. e6, c5, c6. Okay. Very cautious play so far. I'm going to bring my bishop here. Seems a little more active. I might even just try to go for this quick e5 strategy we kind of saw. Okay. So I want to push for e5. So what I'm thinking, I castle first, and now I think I'm ready to play e5. So let's do it. Because this is going to open up my bishop, and our structure is going to be a lot. Even though their pawn structure is a little solid, it's also a little slow. All our moves were so efficient and quick that we were able to break through in the center a lot quicker. Okay, we don't want to lose this pawn. He's threatening maybe bishop takes knight, and then this pawn would be hanging. So, well, we would have one defender, he would have two. So let's go ahead and kick that guy out. Then I don't see a good square for our bishop yet, so I'm just going to play a useful waiting move, which would go ahead and get our structure together. Can't take that because our queen would be hanging. So we just got to move out of the way. Okay. Um, let's I'm going to bring my rook in the game next. Now, if he castles, I'm kind of eyeing a bishop takes h7 idea. So here's what I'm thinking. Bishop takes h7. If he plays king takes, knight check. Yes, here. Oh, that doesn't work. Okay, so we're not going to do that. Can I go queen here instead? Queen check here. Wait, no, wait. So let's look at that line. Bishop takes, king takes, knight check, king up. So we have queen check, and maybe he can go here, but then our bishop would be attacking it. Maybe he goes here, but then we have this square. So bishop takes, king check. sorry, bishop takes, king takes, queen check. Uh, no, not queen check, sorry. Bishop takes, king takes, knight check, king here. We have this move too, but I don't like that move as much. We have to look at king here, queen check. If he blocks with this pawn, we're gonna have nothing, I think. Okay, I'm not seeing it, so let's just keep it solid and simple. Now we are threatening their pawn. We did not see anything to go for. We looked at it, but I couldn't quite see what we would end up doing if the king came here to defend that bishop. So, okay, now we can actually win the pawn by force. That seems pretty good. So now what I'm eyeing is potentially going here, and if he goes here, we could just take it. But I don't want to open up my king like that unnecessarily. Now, we got to be careful too. So if I go bishop here, he's going to have this move. So our bishop's kind of trapped at the moment. So maybe we need to play this move. I think this is the only move that saves our bishop. Because after this move, our bishop's just trapped. Yeah. So we're going to go here. Now, what do we got here next? Well, this pawn's really loose. If I take that, that could be good for us. I also see knight here could lead to a fork potentially. And even if they block with the rook, I would still go for that. So I don't really see how they would stop the fork. Now we could also consider queen takes, but then rook takes here would be kind of bad. So knight here, if they do something about that, maybe we can play queen takes and lead to mate afterwards. I think that sounds really good. So we go knight here first. This is really cutting off the king and threatening a fork at the same time. This seems really good for us. Okay. So he went for the pawn. So the question we have here is, can I take this? So if rook check, so let's see. Queen takes, rook check. If I go over to the left, I don't see any more checks for him. And now we're threatening this. So I'm going to go for it. Also, if the king ever gets here, this ends up checking him and winning the queen. So that's kind of a big deal too. Actually, we might not even need to do that. So even if he goes here, right? Queen check, king here. If we go up, he has to go here. And then I think rook takes d6 is actually going to be checkmate. Okay, so he's going for this move. This is actually a pretty good move. I didn't even consider it. So now, I can't go here. If I go knight check, he goes here. So let's go All right, what do we do? We need to do something here. We could try to chop off that bishop. We can take, so if we take, so can we take this pawn, is the question. If we go check, I go here. I don't see any way for him to keep checking me there. So I think I can get away with rook takes pawn. And now I'm threatening to win the bishop. Now I don't know if I actually want to win the bishop. Is there's a whole nother consideration here. Now a whole nother threat that we're actually threatening here is rook takes knight. And this might lead us to checkmate. So now what would happen here is if rook takes, pawn takes would defend them. So in that line, we would have to play knight f7 check. Notice our queen would cut him off completely, and they would have to give up their queen in that line. Okay, we're going to go here. We saw that both checks didn't really do anything. So now we have to decide if we want to go here. Well, okay. So, what happens if we take this? They're going to have a bishop check. And if we go here, then they're probably going to try to bring their queen in next. Okay. So, bishop check here. Probably queen here next. So we can't let queen here because that would be our checkmate. Knight's guarding this square, so that's pretty important detail. So we just have to stop this, and we should be fine. Alright, so I kind of like bishop here. And the reason why is, if they take, we could then consider rook takes knight. Let's go for it. So if they take, we can take here with rook. And it creates a situation where either they have to take our rook and we can checkmate them, or so now we're just going to go for it. Rook takes knight, and now we deliver the checkmate. Boom. That one was really tough. They really, but at the same time, it wasn't. It's interesting how they went for a very passive setup, but then they started like sacrificing everything, which was kind of weird. But maybe it was all because they just gave up the pawn here. But it's important to recognize that we were actually losing our bishop here. So we had to find that move, I think. If we just go back, we're going to end up be losing like this. Okay, so the engine even thinks we can get out of that. So let's take a right. So basically here, the engine still likes this move. But I was concerned about this move. But I guess we just go here anyways. We're threatening the fork, which is better than losing the bishop. And what's funny is like, okay, here and here, now we're threatening the checkmate and we're threatening the fork. Wow. Yeah, I didn't even consider that in the game. That's wild. Okay, this is our first time seeing this little C6 setup, so let's take a brief look to see if what we did was right in the opening. So, let's see. Alright. C4, bishop d2. I would never play bishop d2. That just seems kind of weird. Bishop d3, h3, c4. So, it kind of likes playing c4 straight away. Okay, and let's see. What did he do in the game? He ended up... So, he played c6, got his bishop out, closed, built this little triangle here, and then developed from there. So if he did the same, if we play c4 first, and now if he goes for the same idea, um, we can play knight c3. If he goes like that, he wants to kick the bishop. Oh wow, that could get really spicy if we start going for that. I don't know if we want to do that here yet. So let's just see if my idea was okay. So bishop d3, bishop g4, played knight bd2, e6, castle, and I went for e4 straight away. I could have played rook e1 first. It kind of liked that a little better. Um, Now if he castles, okay. So probably wasn't a big difference there. E4, got her. We got her push in the center, and played h3, kicked him back. Okay, c3 might have been a little too slow. We didn't need to play c3. We could have just played rook here right away. But let's see. He did this weird check. We got to remember that our knight's pinned. So I think one downside for me is I didn't do the checklist during the game. So I think going forward, I'm going to do the checklist during the game. Now, I think going forward as well, I'm no longer going to be like, all right, what's the checklist? This, and this. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to immediately go into it. I'm going to be like, all right, I'm not in check. All right, nothing's pinned. Do I have any checks that lead to mate? No. All right. Everything looks equal still. Are they threatening anything? Well, they have a pin against us, so I can't move my knight at the moment. So I need to get my... So that could be pretty important. And kind of just... That's pretty much what I'm going to start doing. Even in the tactic puzzles, like I'm not going to like, okay, what's step one? Okay, what's step two? We did that. We already did that a couple times. Now we're going to go ahead and just get into the habit of just immediately doing that checklist. All right, so anyways, we did C3, which was okay. It was kind of a time waster, but he wasted a little bit of time as well, and he's not even castled yet, so C3 is okay. Kind of like C4, maybe to break through. If you see this, maybe breaking through like this could be an option as well. But we no longer have a knight to really push that through. So like if he just castles, um, anyways, which is what he did in the game. I played c3 and he castled, I'm pretty sure. No, he did this first. Okay, got my rook in the game and then he castled. Okay, bishop takes h7 was the right move. So I was heavily considering that in the game. So what I was a little nervous about, if I go here, king g6, um, queen d3. Oh, okay, so I did have this fork here. Oh, knight. Wait, wow. What's happening here? He had to block with the rook. This pawn's pinned. He takes here. Or queen takes here as mate. Wow, that's really interesting. So the real reason we play this isn't really to attack the bishop. It's so we can checkmate him right here. And what's amazing is like it even if he doesn't move that piece, like let's just say he does something random like this, we can just take anyways, and because of the pin, it's going to be checkmate. So this is a tactical theme that can happen a lot, and I think the name of the general theme here is a Greek gift. Is the name Greek gift? And there's lots of different ways it can kind of go down, but the basic idea of the Greek gift tactic is you sacrifice your bishop on h7 like this. And when they take, you usually have some kind of follow-up that will bring your knight and queen into the game really quickly and can lead to a very devastating attack if in the right situations. And here you know, I had the right idea. I just didn't fully recognize the position as much as I could have. You know, if I if I could have recognized. So queen check, I was a little nervous. This is his only move. Now, if I actually play this first, he takes queen takes g4. It says this move is like killing him probably because of rook here. Queen h4. Interesting. Okay. I mean, this one, I mean, it's hard to, I don't know if we'll ever get this position again. King f6 is probably his best chance. And queen e4. Okay. I mean, pretty much we just played solid developing moves. The only, I'd say the key moment is we broke through with this E push really quickly here. And that really just allowed us to get a good position, I think. And notice he kind of went a little haywire here. Like, right here, like if he just, so he needs to recognize that the little Greek gift that I have. So probably needs to play a move like this just to. And honestly, if he really wants to attack me on the king side, this makes a lot more sense because if I trade, I could open up his rook, and that could end up being a lot deadlier, I think. And maybe he just develops the knight and castles queen side and just tries to attack me. I think that would work out a little better. I mean, I think he tried to go for this check, hoping I would just lose my queen. And I just focused on development. Notice, oh wait, whoa. Oh, I made a really bad move. Queen d3. Oh, so I so that blunder was so Queen d3 was already a blunder. F5 just really trapped him in. That's an interesting little detail. Yeah, so I really have bishop takes there was really the only move. Maybe I could have considered queen c7, c2, sorry. At least here I'm not getting my bishop trapped. So if I ever go for this E push, I have to be really careful of F5 trapping in my bishop. I wonder if taking with bishop first would have been better. No, it likes knight takes. Okay. I'm going to leave it there for the analysis for now, just so I can get more games in. For right now, we don't need to be super critical of the actual opening, just knowing on a general basis what we're doing right and wrong should be good. Make sure we're not trapping in our pieces like we did there. And if we see an opportunity, we can go for it. But if we don't, just play calm, developing moves, and go from there. Okay, looks like we get the French reverse. He's going for the advanced variation. We'll see what he does. All right, we're just going to develop normally. All right, I'm just going to play my normal moves. Queen b6. We're really putting a lot of control over this square. Okay, so I could take this pawn. And if I take that, and if I take it again with the bishop, so I'm actually considering pawn takes, queen takes. And if he decides to go, so it pins him, so he can't go here. And what I'm threatening there is to go. So pawn takes, queen takes. If he goes here, I'm thinking queen check. And he probably has to block with queen, otherwise he's going to lose a pawn. And he's already down a pawn. So I think that's a really good scenario for us. So we're going to go for it. Now he might not even take this. If he doesn't take that, what are we going to do instead? Well, bishop here would really put a lot of pressure on him. That could be a really good idea to go for. So let's do it. If he goes here, we do have this check first. And we might be able to really take advantage of the fact of that if he goes for a move like this. So we have bishop takes. He has to go here. And then we have knight. I mean, worst case scenario, I think bishop takes, king here, and then queen here would at least win a pawn. If I can't find anything else. I was looking at possibly going knight here, but I feel like there he can take our bishop. And and the moment I move the queen, it'll go ahead and I'll lose my queen. All right, so what are our options? So bishop here, if knight takes, we have queen takes. We would attack the rook, and we would also attack the pawn. So we would probably end up winning another pawn there. I could try doing it with the knight instead. Knight takes. No, I like bishop here. Now, there is a problem if he goes pawn push. There. So maybe can I get away with that? Let's see. Bishop here. If he goes here, maybe I go here. And if he takes, I'm going to have knight takes. And I would hit the queen, and I would threaten a fork at the same time. I think I like that. So I'm attacking here and attacking here. If he gives me this, I'm actually just going to step back here. And we're going to be threatening to win the pawn, the rook, and the pawn and the rook at the same time. Okay, he's going for this, which is probably good. Um, so I could take, but he's probably going to take back with a pawn. That was probably his best option, to be honest with you. If I play here, he takes. I go here, he takes. Queen takes. I don't like that. Alright. I'm going to take once. We got to speed up a little bit. We're starting to lose on time. Long term, I think if he takes here, this pawn's going to be eternally weak. So even if we can't win it now, long term, this pawn's going to be really hard for him to hold on to. I also see we have queen here, which pins this. Can we do anything about that? What happens there? Well, maybe they just go bishop here or here. So if I go bishop back, they can go here. I'll go here. Another interesting move is queen here. If they take, their bishop hangs as well. I kind of like that move the best, I think. Because we're still attacking this. Although it might have just trapped in my bishop. Shoot. Yeah, I think I messed that up. All right. We're going to be down a bishop now. So the lesson learned here is going to be I'm making it too complicated. I'm going for a lot of these complicated ideas instead of keeping it simple. And that's not only am I hurting myself, but I'm not even teaching you guys like that, you know. So all in all, this is an example of what not to do. Bishop here is probably just winning. But luckily they didn't see it. So now we have bishop takes. This is going to be with check. And if they take back, we can take with our queen. And we're going to be up 2 pawns, and we might even be winning a rook here as well. He could try to go here, I guess. But now I can just go bishop back, and or I don't know if I'd even, yeah, bishop back, because I don't want to let him get a piece here. So yeah, probably just bishop back, and if he takes, I would take with the knight, and then kind of just go from there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, drop my bishop back, maybe bring my knight in a little bit closer. We're up 2 points now, so trades are good for us. And then after that, we'll try to focus on maybe getting rid of this guy. If this guy's off the board, then this square becomes less of an issue for us, I think. I mean, it still could be an issue, but with it being supported by the pawn, that makes it a little tougher to deal with. Now, if I play knight takes, he might have queen check. But I'm happy to trade all that. Like, if he goes here, I'll probably have to take. And then I'd probably block with my bishop. If he does bishop check. I would say that's probably the best course for him because then it kind of gets him in all his pieces in the game really quickly. Honestly, queen takes probably would have been better now seeing that. But oh well. Okay, we're up on the clock now. That's a good thing to keep in mind. So we're gonna try to move quick a little bit just to put some pressure on him. Also make sure we don't. Okay, looks like he's timing out. Alright, let me go ahead and get rid of that. 13-14 is our current rating. We win this, we'll be up to 13-21. We're maybe 2 or 3 days away from hitting maybe 1500. All right. GG. I think I have a lot to learn here from this game. I think I've been trying to make things a little too complicated here. So like in this moment here, he can't really push because we have takes. Um, maybe it's because I'm trying to talk and I'm missing things, or maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm gonna blame it on me. So I need to be more aware of what's happening here. So here he decided to do that. He didn't even want the pawn. Bishop here was fine. Queen there was probably the best way to, then that move was just horrible. I'm moving the pieces twice. And I think this just didn't, rather than trying to go for a cheap move like that, just get another piece in the game. Even if your thing goes down, even if your analysis goes down, like if I can get my knight here and castle, then we're gonna be in really good shape still. And also just be aware of the fact he can't even play this because we can take. I was worried about that, but I shouldn't have been. They can't really go here. We have too much control over that. Yeah, so I mean, I literally went haywire here, and I don't even know why. Because I could have kept things simple, and I had a complete control over this position. He can't push there. I can castle. His pieces are kind of all stuck in the back rank. Yeah, so this is an important lesson here. Keep things simple in the opening. If you don't see something obvious, you need to make sure you're actually getting all your pieces involved. All right. GG. Got a little lucky there that they didn't capitalize on our mistakes, but they will in the higher ratings. So now we got the French defense. We play e6, supporting to move d5. We got the French exchange. Knight f6 on the board. We'll see if knight c3 is played. He's going for this move. We'll go ahead and do the same. Actually, we should have probably started with this move. He played this move really fast. And I think that, so the punishment move is bishop d6 and castles right away. So now things could get a little weird for us if we're not careful. Okay, I'm not going to take, so we'll just... Man, I feel like I'm off today again. See, I let him play bishop e2 and then get this in. And my bishop is here now instead of where it should be. Okay. Let's get our bishop into an active square. And a lot of times you will end up forgetting stuff and going back into old habits. Recognize the more times you recognize that, the more times you can probably break it, I hope. I hope. Okay, so we could castle, we could play knight c3, knight d2, c3. Pretty much most of the time we're going to castle. I think the only move that might really force us to do something is if he tries to go like knight here. So if he does that, if I take, it'll bring his queen into the game. I don't think I want that. So if he goes here, let's see what happens. Bishop here, pawn here. Yeah, no, okay. He's not doing that. He's actually, he's helping me get my queen into the game. So now, let's see. If he goes here, if he takes, I can take. But then he has queen here. He'll pin my bishop to my king. And that's going to be really bad. So if he goes here, okay, he castles. I'm probably going to do the same thing now. Get my king out of the line of fire. Probably looking at knight here next. Okay. So now, think this is he should have done this a move ago, and I think it would have been better for him. Because now I think here we could just take this. Maybe. So let's do a little calculation here. Um, bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes. So we win a pawn, but this loses a piece, so we'd be down 2 points. But then we would be able to capture this pawn, and we would be down 1 point. And to save his rook, he probably needs to go here. And then if we take this pawn, it's going to be equal. No, we can't take the pawn because of the queen. Okay. So, I think we can't really play that. So, I don't want to take it. So, if I take and bring his queen into the game, let's see what happens there. So, I could try to pin the knight to the queen. Now, this is a move I kind of want to play anyways. You know, part of my development. So, takes, queen here. Could probably just go rook here and just keep playing normal. So I don't want to allow any of that. So I'm really leaning towards just bishop back. We don't want to get his queen in the game for free. Now, if he takes, we can seriously consider taking with the f-pawn and opening up our rook. So that could be a serious consideration here. Now, this move is stopping us from playing this. So we need to kind of be careful with where we put our knight. And if our knight was ever to go away, he would actually be able to fork our queen and rook. So we need to keep an eye on that square. Now, one of the moves I want to play is well, if I play this, so okay, he got rid. So I don't like that move at all. I feel like this knight was really good for him, and playing a move like f4 would have been a way better approach. Now here, I'm gonna go ahead and take with this f pawn, and now we get our queen and rook into the game. So if now I see an opportunity to go here, which would threaten checkmate. Now if he goes here, can I do anything? So if I go here, he goes here. Maybe I can go back and attack this pawn, but I don't see anything there. No, I don't see... I mean, we could provoke that move, but I don't know what that does. So he might be threatening to play here. So just to be on the safe... Well, even if I play c6, it wouldn't do anything. So I'm actually going to play this move. Let's get my knight in the game. If he goes here, I might be able to just defend with the rook temporarily or something. Oh, this pawn was hanging. Shoot. So I would have to go here, actually. Okay, he's threatening to win my knight. My knight's kind of awkwardly placed here, so we got to figure out how are we going to get him in the game. I think for now we're going to go here. It covers this pawn, these two pawns, which were kind of tender in that last position. Ooh, I think we might be able to force a tactic now. So let me think. So this is the good alternative move just to get another piece in the game if you can't find it, but I'm really looking at h5. And if he goes bishop back, our queen f4 idea would be a lot stronger because if he did the same move, now we can capture the bishop and we would be winning there. So I think his best option is to go ahead and sacrifice the bishop here. But he doesn't. And now he's going to fall for this little idea that I had. So here we're going to threaten checkmate and lose the bishop. Okay, check. I don't want to lose the pawn, so I'm actually going to go here. This is covered. Everything's covered now. He's threatening this. I think queen here makes sense because it attacks the queen again and also threatens a pawn, so it might just force a queen trade for us. Now I have to decide, do I want to take with pawn or rook? So if I take with the... Okay, he doesn't do that. Now, before I just take this, I have an opportunity to get another piece in the game for free. And it would kind of force him to go here, which seems pretty passive for him. So I think before we take the pawn, we're going to go ahead and do that. Now this would be like the worst move in the position because then it allows me to get that queen and bishop line up again. So here, probably just has to go here, and then I'm probably going to take this guy next. I could also consider anything. Let's see, is there anything else to consider there? Maybe knight here. Try to force a trade of knights, maybe. If I take here, he might have knight here. But I think the problem with that is I can go queen back. I can also consider just sacrificing the bishop. But I'm not going to do that, I think. We're going to use our point. Us being up the points here. We're going to use that to just slowly grind them down and win, I think. All right, so let's try to analyze while we're playing. So we did the exchange. So here, I feel like I needed to play this right away, but I didn't. Sorry, I guess I can't make moves like that during the game. So here I just needed to develop my knight, sorry, my bishop like this, and then just castle. So like, take that move back, this move, and then we castle. should always pretty much be our general way of playing this. And the reason why is this move actually wastes a little bit of time. And so if he's not careful with where he puts his pieces, he could end up running into a check that gets pretty annoying for him. So, like this move, I think wasn't as good. We should have just played that. Now from there, we played pretty normally. Getting our queen into the game definitely wasn't a good idea. Now, here, I thought he should have went for this knight idea here. Because now I have a little bit more way of going wrong here. It ended up being the same thing either way. So I don't think it was the hugest deal actually. But now we just drop our bishop back. And I like this probably would have been fine if he didn't give up the bishop. If he kept the bishop on and then went for all this, I think he would actually be a little bit better. Not better than us. I mean, it would still be an equal fight, but at least, you know, he kind of removed some of the pressure that he had on our position for no reason, you know. And you want to keep the pressure on your opponent because the more pressure they have, the more likely they'll go wrong. But here they kind of just let us get what we wanted. So here, these pawns are really weak. So this knight move was probably really the only way to defend it, to be honest, because if he goes queen here, oops, sorry. He's running out the clock here, so I'm using this time to analyze while we talk, while we wait. And the other thing is, this knight's really good. So a move like f4 would have really clamped down, and if we take him, he can open up his rook and get a pawn really. He'll have a really hard to remove center here. So that would have definitely have been a good option for him. But him getting rid of that also opened up our rook, and now, yeah. So if he played queen here, I was probably gonna play this to defend both pawns, and then kick him with this next and start marching my pawns up the board. Maybe get my other rook in here. And we would try to break open this king and win the game there. And I think this is going to be the final position we're at. Um, Efficient development was the theme here. We we developed our light square bishop too early, and that slowed down the possibilities that we would have had. So timing our bishop right would have been the right course. And now that we already analyzed it pretty much, let's just see if the engine agrees. Okay, we'll just go like this for a second. So we got all right, so right here it likes h6, bishop d6, bishop e7. So so I think this move, we're still fine, but this move really highlights the importance of quick development. Because what'll happen is if things continue the way it did in the game, which was, let's see. Okay, so like if he goes here, I go here. Now, he doesn't have a reason to play h3 here, so I don't know if he would. So he probably goes here. We just castle normally. I assume he would do the same. And we just get our rook out. Like, this should probably be the most automatic moves for us. Now, we don't play robotically, of course, but I think in the French exchange, this is like our general first step in the position is we already know that these pieces would do really well in these squares. Now we wait and see what he does next. Maybe he'll do the same thing. And now we can throw in like an h6 move. Probably kick him back. Get our bishop to f5 where now it'll have a little escape square. Slowly develop the rest of our pieces and have a good position. Seems good to me. All right. Let me fix the board. Oh, there we go. All right, let's go for our setup. E3, D4. See what we're going to look at this time. Okay, we got this move. So the key thing to look at is if he brings out the bishop or not. This will determine our play. I think either way, we're going to play knight e2 first. And that way, when we take... So, actually, this is a good moment. He might have this here. Because we moved this knight a little early. But we do have an opportunity to pin him as well. So if I do that, he might just go back. So what if I play a3 first? Maybe he makes a move like this. And then we play this. And now maybe he goes here. But then we're going to have knight here on the next turn. Unless he goes bishop there. Okay. So bishop here. What if he does go bishop back? Well, now he wasted his second turn. I can castle and we'll see what he does. So let's just go here first and see what happens. This move makes the most sense whenever he goes outside the chain. Now here, knight here is like screaming at me right now because it attacks the queen. And if the knight were to move, the queen would get captured. So this is really screaming at me right now. The bells and whistles are going off. So I gotta go for it. I just know that this is what we want to do. Now let's see where he goes. I think this is probably the only square that doesn't get completely killed. Well, if I ever go knight takes, he can actually like do a weird move like that. So I'm probably just going to take with bishop. And this is going to damage his structure for us. Now next, I'm probably considering c4. And either he takes and get our knight in the game for us, or we're going to push here. Now he's also threatening here, so maybe you could also consider this idea, getting another knight. Okay. I also have this move, which is a little crazy. And maybe I can really take advantage of that bishop. I don't want to let him go for that. Like this seems like a really good weakness that I really want to take advantage of. So I'm thinking of like knight here. But c4 just feels like the move we should play. Now, c4, c5, maybe we have queen check. And in that line, if he goes bishop back, maybe we can take it? All right, I think I want to go for that. Okay, so he's going for this idea. So now I really want to just play this. This will completely remove the idea of it'll fix this pawn structure, so long term it'll be hard for him to deal with it. Now if I do that, he might end up going here. All right, so let's think. If he goes there, can I castle? No, because bishop there would be really annoying. So we gotta really be careful. We can't let him get any initiative here. If I play knight takes, maybe I go queen here. And if he does go queen there, I have queen here, which would be check and force the queens off the board. I think I'm going to go for that. Now, if he goes bishop back, then I could probably then really consider this move. Okay, so he's doing that first. Does knight here do anything? Bishop back seems really annoying there, so no. So I'm going to take with the bishop. This is now a threat. But he has this. No, he doesn't have that square because our queen is currently controlling it. Okay. So what's happening here? So I can't take that right now. If I go here, we might be winning a pawn. He would probably have to go here. Pawn takes. If he goes here, we can play queen takes, knight takes, and I think this wins a pawn. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a useful waiting move, get my rook into the game. Okay, so we gotta be... So this could be a move to try to kick our knight out. If we go bishop here to stop that, what happens? Well, I could then consider bishop here, get our bishop in the game, which would then attack. Okay, he's going there. Ooh, that might be a mistake now, because... So there's two options. I can take, and then take this guy. Or, no, if I take, he could go here. And he ends up defending everything. So I think this is the move. Because it forces him here. Now, at that moment, I would be able to take this. But I don't know if I can win it. Keep it. So what I would need to do basically is here, takes, and so this bishop's, so at that point, I would really need to get my pawn here before anything else to support the knight. But the knight's also supported by the rook. So actually, I can move the queen. I'm sorry. So we're going to go for this. He has to go here, only move. Now, if I do this, he might have there. And I don't know if I want to give him that. I don't think he has a way of defending this right now. Let me castle. I could take that first, but I think I'm going to focus on castling first. Now, I think I'm ready to take. Oh, sorry, I thought the rook was supporting it, but it's not. But I think I'm going to go for this. Actually, I can also go here. So now we are attacking this, but our queen is also hanging. And actually, I think my knight gets stuck there. But okay, he doesn't even go for that. So I could try to go for this, or I could just go for this. I think I want to go for this. Just get my queen out of the pin. Oh, I forgot to do the checklist again. Let's start doing that now. Oh wait, actually I'm like way low on the clock, so we can do it during their turn too, technically. So we're not in check. There was a pin, but we got rid of it. Now, oh, this knight's pinned to our queen. That's a very important detail. Ooh, that is really... Okay, so we got to be careful here. So I think we have to go knight here. We need to save our queen and our knight. And this seems like the only move that does both. When the knight comes here, we might have a check. We might be able to win this guy. If not, okay, we do. And now we're going to win the rook. And we got to start pre-moving because we're down to a minute. Okay. Let's kick that bishop back. He might go here. Or here. If he does that, then I go here. Threatening another trade. Okay. We like trades. We're up, so why not? Okay. Now we just start pushing all our pawns up the board. Okay. Just keep pushing pawns. Okay. That's a free pawn. We're going to take it. Now we have all three uncontested pawns. Okay. We're going to do this check that also trades off a bishop. Now we slowly start pushing our pawns up the board. Now we get rid of the rook. Okay, make another queen. He has too many pieces for stalemate, and that's checkmate. GG. All right, so what happened here? So we did the pin. and he immediately let us damage his structure like this. I think pretty much always, if you ever see the knight in front of the pawn like this, damaging his structure is like one of the good options you can go for. Long term, it ends up giving him some problems. And now here, I'm waiting for the right moment to play this and try to take advantage of his weak structure. Okay, now I finally went for the pawn here. And this was actually a really nice idea, which I didn't consider. He was pinning our knight, so this was the only move that really saved us. But then he ended up losing a rook, and the game really self-destructed for him from there. So I think where he went wrong, he really he really highlighted how important this pin was. And, if like, he probably could do the same thing here. And at least this way, I can't immediately attack his queen and take advantage of the pin at the same time. So if he wanted to bring the queen out and castle queenside, this was probably his best way of doing it. But yeah, once he let me get this, his position was already in trouble. Now, actually, we actually had something better here, according to the engine here. So let's see what we got. Bishop e5 it liked. 95. Wasn't even the top move, c4, but yeah, I just can't help. Queen d6 was the move. Okay. Now here, we don't need to actually go for it yet. We could have played a move like c4. And we have to wonder what happens after this. Well, we just take the bishop. After knight takes. Wow. So I guess the question is why? Why does this seem good for the engine, I guess? Because like if we do nothing and we just keep building pressure and they fix this problem. I think in c5 he has to go here. Okay, no. It wants to get rid of this bishop for some reason. And swing our other knight into the party. Unless he takes this way. Then we just castle. Maybe he castles queenside. He goes over here. I guess in the end result in this position, we're way ahead in like our queenside expansion. So, and he's got some problems here. His pieces aren't really positioned right. But I kind of like our plan too. We damaged his structure, and I think that was a pretty good plan for us. queen a4, which is the top move, because we wanted to really put pressure on the that weak pawn structure. Okay. Now here, just got our rook into the party. And now we played c5. Castle, got ourselves nice and organized, and now we were ready to take that pawn. So here, queen a6 was the top move. e5 was the best response. And we found one of the two responses that was okay. Knight b4 or knight b8. Both of them capitalize on the fact that their queen is also hanging. So this one, if he doesn't take, we just take the bishop. So this one was probably a slightly better just because of that fact. GG. He played good. I think for him, he needs to work on recognizing when pins are good. And if he does that and does it like just literally move the queen one square up like that, and he would have had a lot better position, I think. All right, this is going to be our last game for today. Okay, so we got tricked into something we don't normally play. So how do we deal with this? Okay, let me show you what we're going to do instead. We're just going to develop normally. Develop and attack that pawn. I'm going to go ahead and get my bishop out. See, we're developing normally. Now we're going to castle. Kind of the same game plan we always have. We're just going to develop, get our pieces in the game. He's attacking our pawn. I can defend it with the rook or with the pawn. I think for now, let's go ahead and defend it with a pawn, just to keep things simple. So we're actually seeing an opening when we got tricked into something we don't normally play. Okay, now I'm going to develop my knight. Okay, I think I want to shut out that bishop, so I'm going to go here. Now we're castled and he's not, so that's a slight difference here. We're a little bit quicker. All right, so he brought his knight closer. Do we want to take it? Not sure. If you're not sure, then you probably should. So I think what I'll do instead is, so if I go here, maybe he kicks my knight. What if I go here? If he takes, I can take with queen, and if he takes again, I can open up my rook. I kind of like that approach. So let's go for it. Gets another piece in the game. And my other idea here is if I take here with bishop, I might have knight. I can swing my knight over to e2 and put more pressure on the pawn maybe. So let's see. Bishop takes. If he takes with bishop, then I might be able to take the bishop as well, and then swing my knight over here, and then maybe play for f4. All in all, I think I really like taking this knight. This knight was kind of annoying, so let's get rid of it. If I go here now, he's going to be able to take my pawn. So let's take this first, get that guy out of the game. Now we're going to put pressure on the pawn, kind of giving him motivation to play this. And notice how each move we're actually gaining another move by forcing him to do something else. So now here we are. And now I really want to play f4, I think. I really want to like open up this position, I think. Otherwise, what else do we have going on here? Well, he's probably going to want to castle on the next turn. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think I'm quick enough to stop that. So notice our pawn structure is facing the king side, so that's going to be the direction that we expand in. Okay. Now he gets his bishop in the game. This is now a possibility. Now the question is, can we play this move first? Takes, takes, queen takes. And that might be, I think we should. So even though we sacrifice a pawn, queen takes. Actually, no. Let's not sacrifice a pawn there just yet. So I'm thinking knight here. We need to get the knight out of the way first. If we get the knight out of the way, then when we play this move, it's going to be even stronger. So let's go ahead. If I go here, pawn here. If I push, takes, takes. Ooh, we have a really sneaky move there. So here's what I'm thinking. Takes, takes, queen here. Then I'm going to go knight here. Threatening to play rook e1, which would pin the queen to their king. Now, so we did that, right? So here, takes, takes, knight here. We're making that threat. So we're kind of motivating him to castle kingside. But when we do that, this pawn's going to be pinned. And that makes knight here actually fork the queen and rook. So we're going to go for that. This is, okay, so that's what he goes for. So now we're going to go here. And notice, even if he castles here, oh wait. Oh, and he went this way anyway. So all of that didn't work out. Now, if I played this, maybe he has this, I go there. So we can win a pawn. The question is, do I go rook here? No, that undefends our knight. So I think we should definitely take the pawn, I feel like. Now, if we do that, he's going to get a rook here. All right, so let's do bishop here. If he brings a rook over, we're going to also have knight here. Now, he'll probably play the queen check. We move over. And if he... Okay, that might be bad. Bishop takes here. What happens if we just go back? All right, I think we're going to take the pawn. We're going to go for it. So either at that point, I think if he moves rooks, it should be this one. I feel like this one's wrong because this will win one of the rooks. That's what my feeling is. He's not doing any of that. He's going here. So bishop here, so the pawn's now, so we're not in check. This pawn's pinned. We're up, we're not up anything. Sorry, I thought we were up a pawn, but we're not even that, so. So I think I'm gonna drop my bishop here and try and trade it off. If he takes me, then my knight will be forking. No, it won't. No, it won't. No, it won't. No, it won't. Queen check. I blundered. Shoot. He didn't see it. Yay. Not good on us. Okay. I'm just going to move this king out of the way. No more checks. I wonder if he did that because he saw that. If I go here, he takes, I take. Okay. It's also threatening to win. All right, let's just go for it. We're going to be trading rooks. Attacking the queen. See what he does. Okay, let's bring the rook into the party. See what that does. Can't play rook there because of our knight. We might have queen check coming up. That seems like it could be really good, actually. We should have played that last turn, actually. Oh, yeah, he saw it. Dang. That would have been a good move. Now, can I take this, is the question. I think rook there would be too much for us to stop. So, let's go queen here. Let's get it in their territory. Now, this rook will be undefended. So, we need to make sure. That rook is hanging. Yeah, oof. And it's checkmate too. I didn't even see that fact. I just saw it hanging and I took it. Okay. Got ourselves to 1341 today. Ooh, man, some of these games weren't pretty. I'm making a lot of mistakes. So, I accidentally played the wrong move. But I stuck to our same. So instead of playing e3, I played e4. But I stuck to the same idea of principles. I just got my pieces out and castle. And I just played simple moves. Here, I took a moment to make sure they couldn't get their bishop in the game. That's probably the only unique thing. Okay. And then I went for this idea where I could take everything and kind of go for this f4 push. And I broke through in the center. I don't know if this was actually right, but yeah, the ending didn't like it that much. But we take, go here. We got a message. No cheating, buddy. Tactics, we're just there. That queen move really hurt you there. Um, let's see, which game was he playing? Let's see what game. I can't remember which. I'm pretty sure that was the queen move game. Yeah. Oh no, that was the last game. Okay. What? Okay, here's the game. Yeah, that's exactly the game I was talking about. Okay. Not cheating. It's all gonna be on YouTube if you wanted to see. Wanted to check it out. That queen d7, that queen d7 move really cost you. That pin was after that. That pin was tough to deal with. And if you moved your queen one square further, your position would have been a lot better. Not cheating. It's all going to be on YouTube if you want to check it out. That queen d7 move really cost you. Sorry, I talk out my thoughts sometimes. Okay. Not cheating. It's all going to be on YouTube if you want to check it out. That queen d7 move really cost you after that pin was tough to deal with. If you moved your queen one square further, your position would have been a lot better. Okay, so that is going to be our last game here today. And this is kind of the cool thing about doing it through YouTube is I can at least talk through my moves, and that way it's harder to say that I'm cheating because I can at least like, hey, look at my YouTube channel. And and not only does it work in that sense, but then maybe if people like my content, they'll start watching and maybe they'll improve too. Cool. So, all in all, we got ourselves to 1321, I think. 1341. All right. So with that there, we are very close to getting to our goal of 1500. Then after that, we'll be playing the 3-minute games to 1200. And if we can get there, then we've passed level 1. So that's it. That's what I think level 1 really is all about. Now, notice in these games, like right when we hit 1200, people were not falling apart. So I think before 1200, people were just falling apart left and right, giving away stuff, and you know, now it's more strategy based. You have to really pay attention to the pins and the tactics and focus on developing your pieces first, and then really pay attention to those moments where you can strike and take advantage of your opponent's mistakes. But that's enough of me today. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys later.